Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David, and today's top stories here. These are some extra stories I've had throughout the week that I've compiled here on my second channel. Be sure to subscribe here. We've got Garnet Genuous showing how Justin Trudeau and the Liberals have sent our dollars, our Canadian tax dollars, to not only American universities for climate change research, but to individuals. This isn't just being sent to a university, but individual people receiving a lot of our tax dollars. Something seems very corrupt and suspicious about this. We've also got Elizabeth May completely going off her rocker in the House of Commons. This is a clip from about a week or so ago when the event with Israel started to really kick off recently, and she just completely has a meltdown. There's a couple other stories in here. Let's jump into it. So remember about a week ago, we had Garnet Genuous talking about how Trudeau has given money to universities in America to do research on climate change. So we got some more details on this now.
To the witnesses again, is it appropriate in your view to have a grant go just to a named individual? Would that be something that we should be seeing, not to an organization, a business, but to simply have the recipient's name be a person's name? Is that something we would expect to see or not?
Yeah. And when it's an award, for example.
What do you mean by an award?
The person has been the ones developing a new initiatives and received funding for this.
Okay. I just one example. I won't name the individual because maybe there's a story here, but I would like to know more about this. There's a specific named individual who got $65,000, and the program purpose is listed as to increase the recipient's knowledge of wildlife on the subject lands and assess rangeland health as an indicator of habitat quality on the ranch and implement beneficial practice changes to further protect or enhance habitat for species at risk. Parts of that seem more credible than others, but in particular the fact that it starts with to increase the recipient's knowledge of wildlife on the subject lands. I mean, I can't imagine that there's anybody in the country who wouldn't want $65,000 to do that. So does that seem normal to you, or?
People would like to have it, but not necessarily qualified to have it. I don't think I would. That's not my areas of expertise. We can find the information for you. Okay. When I was a PhD student, I received grants. So this is exactly the same circumstances where you receive money to continue your study or your work. Okay. So it could be a case like that. We need to come back to you.
Okay. It's just that for studies, in many cases, you have the recipients listed as universities. So you're telling me that the recipient could be an individual if that individual is doing research. But then you told me earlier that maybe the recipients being American universities is because there are researchers there who are Canadian.
Information on this, they're not the majority of our cases. They're really kind of unique and good for you to find them. But we'll have to come back to written.
Okay.
Response.
I mean, I guess I would say in general that the purpose of this exercise should be that Canadians, not just parliamentarians who have privileged access to officials, but that Canadians can look on the website and know what's going on and who got the money. I wanted to come back to your comments about non-Canadian institutions and just give you one example I found. This is $65,000. It's given to Clarkson University, private university, Potsdam. And the program purpose is optimization and testing of a new passive dry deposition sampler. Is that not something that could have been done in Canada?
The researchers would be in agreement. Probably because it could not. There's areas where we're the top. There's areas where we partners with others and they come with their own views and their own things. But I think we can send you an answer coming from the scientists.
There's a load of crap. We all know it. This is probably someone connected to some, Mark Carney's brothers, uncles, sons, whatever, Justin Trudeau's nieces, nephews, whatever. It's always the same. These guys just steal our money.
I won't talk on behalf of the scientists on the reasons for this.
Right. I'm not questioning that there might be scientific value. It's just the question of what the role of the government of Canada is in funding research. I think most people would expect that would involve funding research in Canada, building up our Canadian institutions. It's not our role to be funding academic research in the United States, a country that can fund their own academic research.
Yeah.
You don't fund research in a country in isolation. You have to do it in partnership with institution outside.
Right, of course, but this is I guess just a problem of accountability though, because I'm looking at the recipient name, right? Now, if there's a partnership between a Canadian and American institution, you would probably expect that the Canadian institution might be applying for funding in Canada, the American institution might be applying for funding in the United States, and those institutions are entering into a partnership using funding that they have together. But in this case, we have a situation where the program recipient is and this isn't an isolated case, right? We have many cases in here of this, and so I think there's just for the user of this information, trying to understand what your department is spending money on, there's ambiguity and uncertainty around what it actually means when a particular recipient is identified. So is this something you acknowledge the need to clean up so the public can actually understand what's going on?
We owe you more information. I recognize that.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
These guys are all a bunch of lying scumbags. Stop stealing our money. Please make it stop. It's dispiriting. It's threatening the country's economic viability. It's a relative. Exactly what I said. He's a secret holder research of squat. Next up, we've got a clip here of Elizabeth May. The Green Party usually gets to say ask one question at the end of the session, and she just goes on a complete full-blown rant. And, well, let's check it out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on the same point, it's clear that world leaders have been calling out for the last year since the horrific attacks of October 7th for restraint and to control the conflict so it doesn't spread as it just is spreading into Lebanon. And we know who the enemy of peace is. Unfortunately, he has a name. He's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he has put his political career and
They shut her off.
Colleagues, I'll ask you to please only. I'll ask you only to take the floor when you're recognized by the chair. The honourable member from Satiscoff Islands. One moment, please.
Yeah, so Elizabeth May kind of going off her rocker there. Maybe she had a little bit of that stumbling juice before this session, I don't know. But what's clear here is now the Green Party, while insignificant, are against Israel and with Palestine. Trudeau has been trying to play both sides. He's letting the Palestinians protest in our streets and say all sorts of horrible, illegal things. But at the same time, he keeps helping Israel. He keeps, being in favor of Israel. Interesting times here. I hope they just sort that stuff out. But it seems there's no desire to have peace over there. So how do you have peace? This is what happens when you send drunks to Parliament. Check her donations, her liquor cabinet. Next up, we got this clip. We've got an angry guy on an Ottawa bus. You can see here, it's this guy here, and he's got his hand up, and he's actually holding something in his hand.
You? Okay, sweet. I got it on video.
So you can see here, he's got one of those sharp tools. Yeah, I'm not going to play any more of this, but we've got another one of these cultural enrichers enriching our culture by wanting to share his tool with Canadians. Next up, we got this posted by Table Salt. I'm not going to play this video, but I'll just read this here. 1,200 suspected T-word pterodactyls living in Canada. 1,200 pterodactyls in Canada were denied entry into the U.S. over the last 4 years, but they live here full time. So these 1,200 pterodactyls are trying to get over to America. America knows this. I've already heard about this before. All the pterodactyls come here, and they're using that as a jumping point to go down to America. And one of them recently tried to go down to, I believe it was New York, to let loose some pow-pow, some big pow-pow event. And he was caught before he was able to do it. Trudeau's Canada. He's just letting in all the pterodactyls just to wreak havoc. It's disturbing. Thanks for watching the end of the video here. Be sure to subscribe. There's a lot of news going on in Canada right now. So be sure to subscribe here for my extra channel. It provides a little extra layer of security here just in case something happens to my main one. See you guys in the next one.